In my time here on YouTube, I have never deleted a YouTube video based on bad reactions I get. If I did that, I would have literally no videos here at all. So that kind of speaks volumes because I've been called every name here in the book, okay? I've had every reaction given to me. I've had people write me terrible words and the videos still remain. Sometimes I prefer reactions. It means I did my job right. So this is not a matter of me being unaccustomed to backlash or being overly sensitive. I know what it's like to be the only one in the room speaking the truth, and I can feel that clash fully, okay? So I took a lot of time to sit with what happened with the recent backlash that I got. I've sat with all ends, and I think I have clarity on how to proceed with it now. This isn't going to be a video that addresses the controversy. It's not going to be regarding the topic that caused backlash. This isn't a video that's going to talk about how sorry I am and beg for the people to come back that I lost. Whoever left was meant to leave at that time. But I do want to be delicate in some regard because I recognize to some extent I came off emotional and without context. So I'm going to be more detailed in my response here. I'm going to give a full picture. I'm going to take a few steps back. And so what is this video? It's not a reading. Some of you are like, what is this? This is a video of me taking some steps back and addressing a really large elephant in the room. And I'm going to do so without performance and without sugarcoating it. So it's going to still be jarring for those who don't want to hear it. It's not going to make it more digestible for some of you. It's just going to explain some things that I didn't. So what is this video exactly? It's going to touch on the tea, all right? We're going to get knee deep in the tea that happened in my last video because I know some of you are curious. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll explain, trust me. But I just want to take a moment to explain what this video is. This video is dedicated to what it takes to be a collective reader. This is the necessary context that I should have included with my emotions in that last video. When I went on a tangent about AI, it wasn't about AI. We're talking about my job here as a reader. And so the reason it was so jarring and from left field for most of you is because you don't know what my experience as a reader is like. My videos are tailored for you. You are the focus, and most of them revolve around you, not myself. And I like it that way. But where this video is going to be different is it's going to be the opposite. This video is going to be talking about me, my experience. And so you can hold both perspectives when you make a decision about what happened recently. So again, this is not a video to regain the subscribers I lost from the drama. I respect your decision to leave if you did. If you heard me the way you wanted to hear me, stick with that. Stick with your guns. In fact, I told some of you to leave, so I hope you don't think that I'm going to go back on that. I'm just going to take this opportunity to address the elephant in the room. We are going to talk about what no one else talks about, and that is this like secret reader space where what the hell happens behind the scenes for a reader. Nobody knows. Readers are like this anonymous enigmas. And this is going to be uncovering the truth, the mystery, me really going into depth about what happens for me as a reader, how I actually read energy, and why I made this jarring comment. So stick around if you're interested in that other side. This is the deepest parts of online reading. This is things people don't talk about, the shadow aspects, and what I deal with as a very honest and direct reader. And then after you hear all of that, perhaps form an opinion at the end together with me. And we'll talk about if there is a sustainable relationship that can exist in an online environment, or if this online environment is just setting all honest collective readers up for failure. We're going to decide that together. All right, let's dive into the tea, okay? We're going to start with what happened. Some of you don't have context, so it's important I go back to the beginning. I'm not going to dance around it. I'm not going to make it more digestible. We're going to shoot straight here. I'm going to tell you exactly what I said. To summarize as directly as I can, I told a part of my collective to leave, to take a hike, get lost. And it came off as really brute. It came off as everyone being like, whoa, who is this unwelcoming meanie? Because I'm so opposite to that usually. And so I got a lot of backlash, particularly around how I removed the welcomeness from my space. Most of the stances that are very extreme here are just standing firm in, wow, what an unwelcoming reader she is. But a lot of it is misinterpretation too, that I want to kind of like address. But first, let's set the stage for those who have no context, okay? I was basically in the middle of a reading unrelated to AI or artificial intelligence or any sort of controversial topic of that nature. The energy was more intense than I could hold, so to remedy that, I asked for stronger belief systems to unsubscribe and to stop nudging me so strongly, okay? I basically divided my collective intentionally into this controversy. I said, those who are strongly opposing of AI and want to pretend it doesn't exist and want to dance around it, this isn't a space for you. And I asked them to please leave, okay? And that is unheard of. In a space like YouTube, people pay for subscribers. They do not ask people to leave. People do insane, crazy things to get more views and subscribers. And here I am being so unwelcoming and directly telling people to leave. Okay. So it just wasn't setting myself up for success. I was clashing against everything that this platform goes for, believes in. So what people heard from me saying this before I address what I actually said and what I actually meant is they heard, if you do not like AI, you are ruining my readings and denying reality. Go away. And that's quoted directly from a comment. And so as you can imagine, boy, did my collective split emotionally. This was truly backlash. Think about a spiritual community for a second. It is so rare that you are going to find someone in a spiritual community that is enlightened, self-aware, who wouldn't be advocating against AI, because AI, in the truest sense, removes humanity. Okay. So these are clashing, conflicting morals. Most here in the spiritual niche have very strong beliefs and emotions against AI. So what I did was insane. I walked into a room full of people who majority believe this thing, and I said, please leave. A lot of it interpreted what I said as, please go away if you believe this thing, because I believe the opposite. That's exactly why the energy is so overwhelming to begin with for me. And I'm going to explain and really get into what happens on an energy level for me. It's so interesting though, because I felt such immediate relief for them to leave, but I also felt immediate accountability for how abruptly I divided you all without explaining and clarifying what I meant on an energy level. I don't regret dividing, but I do regret dividing without full context, without you understanding my perspective as a reader. I think I left it too open to misinterpretation by not explaining what happens for me. And I think a lot of people took away that I was just rude, unwelcoming. I was a strong advocate for AI. Like I really believed in it and I'm pushing it, and get out if you don't believe with me. This is my space and my opinions and I don't listen to anyone else. I mean, you guys heard crazy stuff. I'm going to be honest, but it's not your fault because I brushed over it so quickly. I'm taking this accountability. Like I just said an emotional thing and then moved on. Okay. So I brought up a clearly heavy topic and then didn't explain it. And so let me make one thing super clear before I dive into this. It is not about the controversial issue itself for me on my side. It is not about AI or my personal beliefs regarding it. Like I don't have some strong advocacy towards this tool, but that's how this was interpreted. I even said directly that I don't advocate for or against it. I'm very neutral. I have to be. As a reader, I have to be unbiased. But so many emotional responses interpreted that I'm so firmly placed in this tool. And so I suppose it does make sense, right? If I'm saying something without clarifying it in a heavily emotional topic, you're going to take what you want to take, especially if you have strong beliefs for it. But what I really need to do is remove the emotion, remove the controversy from AI for a second. Let's all take a step back and just think of this as an energy exchange. Think of this without the emotion. Think of this without the right and wrong. It's anything that has the energy of being extreme, anything that has something so against or something so for. Against energy or negative energy is usually stronger for me. So it doesn't have to have a specific shape or size or topic, but what it is the extreme part of it. That's what hurts. That's what affects. That's what derails my readings. And so it creates, by this contrast that you send me this strong energy with, it creates an environment that isn't fair, that isn't neutral for the collective, because there's a dominating energy force. And here's what I'm going to explain to you. When you remove all the emotion, when you remove the right and wrong, is it's all energy protection on my end. So there's a price I pay for being so detailed and, let's just say, gifted or so thorough, is I carry a lot of energies at once, and I have to work very hard to protect the space and keep it neutral, or else my readings start to narrow. They're not collective reads. They're not going out in divine timing. So you have to understand the burden I carry is extraordinary. And I'm going to explain why. There's a lot of parts here that you guys aren't aware of, and my fault for not explaining it to you in depth. So if we take a step back from AI as a topic, hopefully that's clear now that this is not about AI or artificial intelligence. I've said it multiple times, but it's so charged here that I just want to say it 6 times to make sure that we can move forward without AI here. Okay. Here's the actual problem I'm facing as a reader, and here's where the teeth came out for me at all of you, is I have no protection against these strong energy nudges, aka these energy nudges of firmly being against AI, or however it takes shape or container. These extreme or polar views are dominating energy. They take up all the space. They come in and they basically take up all the room here, and they leave very little room for less dominating energies that nudge me. And the collective is full of different assortments of energies, some dominating and extreme, and some very neutral or weaker, but those messages are just as important, okay? So I do my best to filter comment sections. I have a lot of automatic keywords that remove comments. So if your comments ever get deleted, you probably accidentally hit a keyword because I have so many. I take such pride and energy to remove heavy energy that comes through. But at the end of the day, I'm still very porous. I'm still a sponge to these stronger energies that come at me. And so here is the blunt truth that some of you will still not like to hear, and you will want an apology video and not this. But those who are very strongly opposed to AI, who basically remove it from reality and avoid it, when they send that energy to me, it is distorted energy. It distorts my energy. And it's hard for them to hear that it's distorted, or that it is overbearing, or that it is dominating, because saying all of that touches a very strong belief within them. They're holding this belief, they're advocating for it. So it's going to be touchy to them. But if we remove the controversy of the opinion here, if we just take away the fact that we're even talking about AI and that there's no right or wrong here, we can see an energy shape. And an energy shape here, in this case, is avoiding or going against something. And that is a distorted energy signal, which is a hard truth that I brushed over very quickly instead of talked about it. So being more neutral or not avoiding AI, not being reactive to it, is a less dominating energy signal in comparison. So again, we're just talking about how I receive energy signals and nudges from you, not the topic of AI and what the energy looks like when I get it. So if you can see past the emotional part, if you can understand that there's no right or wrong, it's just the energy you're sending to me and how I'm trying to protect the space, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. I wouldn't say there's any right or wrong. I wouldn't say that having dominating energy or having a strong advocacy is a problem. The actual issue here is it overpowers the space here in my collective, because all I can feel is that your stronger energy currents are dominating over those less strong. Okay. So we're not talking about, hey, you're distorted and you're wrong. Although I do feel personally that avoiding AI is a distorted signal, but we're mostly just talking about my collective here and how I'm so protective of it. There are instances where the fact that you are avoiding or you're strongly advocating against is actually required for you on your path. That is a timeline. There is a purpose for that. There is a reason. And so that's why I don't say it's right or wrong. It's just not neutral in this space. It's not neutral here because of how strong it is emotionally and how porous I am of a reader. Okay. The problem is I'm a collective reader that, number one, focuses on neutrality and fairness, and number two is so porous, is so sensitive. So that is what we're really talking about in this sense. We are not talking about AI. We are not talking about my beliefs. So in a strange way, here's what was happening. Let me just summarize everything I said. Is what I was doing was this. Number one, I was protecting the space. Protecting the space here means not allowing stronger energies to dominate or control the course of the reading, control the course of what goes out, control the course of what is prioritized over those who are more neutral or passive. And because neutral energy deserves just as much space, and they are easily overpowered by these dominating forces, these dominating energies that I have to untangle. If I didn't do this, if I didn't regularly protect the space, more neutral energies would not have readings. They would not have any space here. They would not get their messages. So it's very, very important that I have teeth sometimes, that I filter heavily, that I'm kind of strong. But in this case, I should have explained more, and I didn't. I just bared teeth and then changed the this subject really quickly. And that brings me to my second reasoning, which is not just protection. It is purely personal. This is just me being transparent with you. The amount of effort I go through to protect and untangle and show care and devotion really piles up over time. And in this instance, it did that without me even realizing what I was holding. So it was very human, a very overwhelming moment, a very emotional moment. And in my reflection, it seems that there is an unconscious breaking point to how much I can hold that caused me to bare teeth instead of step back and explain like I normally would. I just didn't have the space in that moment to explain. And instead, I kind of moved forward without clarifying, without thinking twice about it. So instead of the neutral approach that I would normally take, where I would give a clear explanation, I went straight into baring teeth. It's like basically trying to Band-Aid a water leak. After enough times of it just leaking through the Band-Aid, your emotions are just going to be inevitable, I think. Reactions are just going to come out. And so it kind of showed me something here isn't sustainable and some sort of adjustment is needed to be able to continue. I really took my response seriously. I clocked it. Baring teeth like that is not something I normally do, but I am more of a protective archetype. So I can see how I would become like that in that instance. The next part, I think, is going to talk more about me personally. It's going to dive into the things I've kind of kept quiet from you, and where just after this video, it's being forced to be talked about. There's a revealing energy that's happening here. And if you guys remember, I did make a prediction for this upcoming year as being the year of revealing energy. And I truly think this is me following suit, revealing to you guys, I cannot hold all this space for you. As much as I want to, I cannot be as deep and honest on this platform that fights me at every moment. So the next part is going to be very personal things, me answering a glaring question of, is it actually possible to be a collective reader? Is it actually possible to be good, honest, detailed? Can that really be sustained? And I feel I can't answer that without explaining deeper parts of me. So it's probably going to be one of those it depends types of answers, but it's worth listening to so we can all form our own opinion. So the glaring question that is in front of me is it actually possible to be online, to be a collective reader, and to be, dare I say, a good or a truthful one, or a less watered down one, more detailed, more in-depth, more transparent? There's a lot of readers today that do not fight the online system at play. Let's be honest, they work with it very harmoniously. They have found their balance, and they make it easy on themselves by protecting themselves, their space, not going too deep, not being too exposed, not being too honest. They have found the perfect balance, okay? And after what I can only describe as a long battle of me swimming upstream with cement in my pocket, I can see the appeal of just kind of laying down and reading with less heart, reading with less depth, because sometimes I have a tendency to go too far. I'm too open. I'm too honest. There is repercussions for being this way in an online platform, and it doesn't mix well with this environment. It's kind of like me personally, I'm too all or nothing. Instead of finding the partial access where most readers have found their little system that works and still have a little bit of integrity, I haven't found my balance yet, and it really shows. So in order to answer this question, is it possible for a good reader to coexist on a platform designed for performance and not for truth? I kind of want to start by sharing why I even came to YouTube in the first place, to give background on me and why I'm here and what I want to do before we can even answer this. I was drawn to this work for a very specific reason, which I don't think is very common. I don't think I've shared this, but originally I wanted to create a very small collective and then build a very specific tool for them. It came through as kind of a vision of sorts to somehow make something to streamline the process where my collective wouldn't have to struggle like I did. Kind of like a guiding tool specific to my soul family and their particular needs. In essence, the tool would strengthen signal to source. It would help others not be so dependent on outside confirmation. It would give them more practical, real help, not just filler words. That was the main motivation behind this channel. And what ended up happening for me is creating a small group of people was no easy task. It required constant upstream swimming, especially in the way being truthful and honest goes against the platform and its delivery preferences. The system here, in other words, rewards hope content, mass appeal that's very vague, quick turnaround type of content. Short, brief, vague, And content that isn't disrupted, that doesn't tell the truth, that isn't highly controversial, like what we just saw, where I lost a mass amount of followers by bringing up one simple controversial topic. Instead, what is rewarded here is watered down, harmonious, easy to swallow things. And so you'll notice big creators or successful creators, they do not talk about AI, okay? They are not fighting any battles unnecessarily. They are taking it easy, and I am not. Do you see the problem here? So my nuanced and charged messages that take a lot of time, a lot of thought, a lot of work, it quietly names things people don't want to hear. It's just not rewarded. It's a lot of work with a little bit of reward. And so I found out quickly that I have to work 10 times harder on a channel that focuses not on monetization and that functions with so much intentional effort to stay small and true. And so because of the effort I pour into this space, I have very little time to create the tool I came here for. I can't hold all the things at once. I can't create true content and then also serve my mission and then also make money. It's just not all possible. And so the content that feels true takes so much time. It takes protection. It takes work. And I'm finding myself up against a wall in a very weird way that it would never casually come out in conversation except for in this controversial moment with you all, is I'm feeling less motivated to continue because of all this work and this lack of reward that you don't see. And so interestingly though, if I took a step back and followed what exists more commonly here that we all see, I could see myself having the time to create the tool too, to be rewarded, to work smarter, not harder. But I can't seem to create quick hope content. I just can't do it. Even though it's what sells, it's what gets rewarded, it goes against what I know to be true and what has healed me as a reader. And so I cannot do it. And so the problem is I'm not being rewarded. I'm being drained. I don't have a protection against these energies. It's a lot of work to protect this space. And it's because I'm such an open access, more porous reader. That's just how I am. And maybe other readers are a little bit more protected, a little less porous. So why am I telling you all this? I don't want pity. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. But what I do want is you to understand that being a good reader that doesn't sell out, that doesn't push diluted content, comes at a very real price. And I don't show you that price because it's conflicting. It's very rewarding for me to serve you in this way, and something I do because I love it, even though the price is very high. And so I'm saying all of this because I'm considering taking a step back. That's the truth, is a pivot of some kind. Based on my inability to hold it all, that really became clear in this last reading. It's just who I am, how I read, and what's happening for me in this specific space. And that's as honest as I can be with you all, is I'm not the type to give half-assed, half-hearted effort. And I'm kind of paying the price for what feels like burnout, what feels like holding too much without the right protection. And so I think because I go so deep in these readings, because I protect this space with teeth, it's becoming more challenging the more energies that find me. I'm becoming more porous, not less. And so it's hurting me in a very specific way that none of you would know about unless I was honest like this. And so the honest truth is, it seems I'm kind of at a crossroads where I need to figure out how to protect myself here and not have moments of buildup where I bare my teeth from the weight of it all, or I need to simply take steps back and produce less, but I'll have to figure out that balance in some way as I move forward. In other words, I think I've truthfully hit a wall as an honest reader. This is probably where most readers just kind of handcuff themselves to more diluted reads. They start watering down the access and they start watering down the messages. I'm here just holding that weight and deciding what to kind of put down that still keeps my integrity instead of pushing forward. I think this was like weirdly my wake-up call in an indirect way. And so what is the answer to this question? We have a question here. We're trying to answer something. Can you be an honest, good reader? Yes, but with an asterisk. You can effectively balance energy if you learn how. You can find ways to not get overwhelmed, or, which is, I think, more common, you can also just be a different type of reader than I am, where they wouldn't have so much commitment to the space. They wouldn't feel as overwhelmed. You could block things off instead of going deeper like I do naturally. It's not that you would be closed off. You would just be less porous. You would just give a little less of yourself in every read, which is something I'm not able to do, is what it's looking like. So it's important to note here that some readers don't function communicationally porous. I think it's very rare that you'll find that. There are more internally generated ones and not externally absorbing ones like me. If you can picture that, is like most readers generate from within. they're not generating externally. They're not moved by external sources, but my signal very much comes from you all, is very moved by you all. And I think that that might be very different than how a lot of majority readers generate readings. So the answer is yes, it exists. But I'm realizing I might be too porous for this space in a very honest way. And so I might have to either dial back or figure out methods to protect me moving forward. I don't have any answers, but if you all have ideas or thoughts, I am super open to hearing from you all. I would love to hear your thoughts on the whole situation now that you've had a little bit more context from me, you understand the whole picture. I really don't know if I painted it more clear for some of you. The ones that left may never return with an open mind. So this isn't really about fixing anything or band-aiding anything. It's just here as like a weird closure as I pivot to the next step of readings, whatever that looks like for me. And so I just feel like this was really a moment of real clarity for me, who I am as a reader, how I function, and how this space is working against me. I'm super grateful for those who held me accountable in that moment, even if they parted ways right after. I still really deeply value our time together and how it looked. And so I love you guys endlessly, with or without a silly subscription on this platform. Cheers, friends.